The one with the birthing video is so great. I feel like I say that about pretty much every Friends episode, but let's be honest, most of them are brilliant. This is the 15th episode of the 8th season of Friends. This is directed by Kevin Bright, and as always, there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. And as I usually do with Friends, I will talk about each part of the narrative in turn because we have little parts of the narrative focusing on each character. So I will talk about Ross and Rachel first of all, and then Monica and Chandler, and then Joey. So Rachel has moved in with Ross. I think it was the end of the previous episode. Rachel decided she would move in with Ross, and Ross kind of hasn't told Mona yet, which is absolutely on Ross. I don't think he should have kept it a secret. She's been away for a while. She comes back. He's maybe about to tell her, but she presents him with saltwater taffy, and he's unable to tell her. And then it's Valentine's and she goes over to his apartment and Rachel is there. Of course she is. She lives there. And Mona asks her to maybe leave so that she and Ross can have some privacy for Valentine's Day, which I feel like is not her place to say. Even if she thought Rachel was visiting there, that's absolutely not Mona's place to say, to ask somebody to leave Ross's apartment. So I didn't like Mona in that moment. But Rachel responded with, "But Mona, I live here." And just, it was brilliant. It was very well executed. It's not the way Mona should have found out. But also Mona had no business telling Rachel to leave Ross's apartment because it's not her apartment. So not many people were in the right here, but Rachel did absolutely nothing wrong. And it's a decent part of the narrative. Then we come to Chandler and Monica. And it's Valentine's Day, of course. Monica's slipping into something not very comfortable, but she looks fantastic. And Chandler sees a videotape on the table, and it's called Candy and Cookie. And based on the title, he assumes it's an adult video. Monica got him an adult video for Valentine's Day, and he puts it in the player, and it turns out, and we the viewer knew this, it's actually the birthing video of Phoebe's friend and her child, Candy and Cookie, and Chandler's reaction to this is absolutely fantastic. And Monica asks him what's wrong, and he explains. And first of all, she did get him an adult video for Valentine's Day, just not that video. And she watches it with him, and she's also horrified. And Rachel then comes over, and she decides, okay, I need to watch this. And she makes them watch it with her because she doesn't want to watch it alone. And all she can say is, "Why is that baby torturing that woman?" And Chandler says, "Why have I seen this 3 times?" I feel very sorry for Chandler, but it was very, very funny. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I thought the facial expressions were just so brilliant. It's such a great part of the episode. And at the end of the episode, Rachel realizes she needs to watch the tape again and probably absorb what's happening. So she puts it in, and it's very apparent that she's now watching the wrong tape. She took the adult video by mistake. So a really enjoyable part of the narrative. And then we come to Joey. And this one's less enjoyable because it's not as funny. And it's very difficult to watch because it's very emotional. And I don't like seeing Joey like this, but it's very well executed. Joey is still feeling terrible with his feelings for Rachel and how it's not reciprocated. And Phoebe decides to try and cheer him up by borrowing her friend's dog. This is the happiest dog in the world, and he's absolutely beautiful. The dog isn't listed on IMDb, so I don't know if the dog has been in any other films or shows, but it's absolutely beautiful. And Joey talks to the dog, shares his problems, and he bums him out. He makes the happiest dog in the world miserable. As he says, he broke the dog. But the dog is so beautiful. The scene though where Joey's sitting in the chair and the dog's lounging, it's such a perfect scene. And honestly, I feel like that would cheer anybody up, even if it was only temporary. And Joey bumps into Ross at Central Park. Ross is there getting a cup of warm milk, and Joey's clearly unhappy. And Ross, being a good friend, tells Joey, "Talk to me about it." And when he says, "Why can't you tell me about it?" Joey realizes it's better to say something than to say nothing. So he starts talking about how somebody he works with, he has strong feelings for this person, but it's complicated. Somebody he works with would get hurt if he dated this person, and he manages to say this all in a very believable way. And Ross gives him some support and says, "You should just You should just talk to that person and see what they'd think, because unless you take a step, you're never going to know what could possibly be. And as Ross walks towards the door to leave, he opens the door and Joey says, with his back to Ross, he says, "It's Rachel." And Ross is just frozen. He doesn't move. He doesn't turn around. It is so dramatic. It is such a powerful moment. And I don't remember how I felt the first time I saw this episode, but I'd be willing to bet I did not predict Joey was going to say it was Rachel. At least not then. I feel like if I were to predict what was going to happen, it would be that maybe over time he'd talk with Ross about it. He'd sit him down and say, "Look, this is how I feel." Although he should probably talk to Rachel first. I don't know. But either way, that would have probably been my prediction. So that moment is just, it's beautiful, but it's painful. And obviously it leaves things hanging. So it's a really brilliant episode. Personal highlights would be, honestly, pretty much all of it. Absolutely loved how things unfolded with Chandler. Chandler was very, very funny, as always. I don't like that Ross didn't tell Mona, but I did find it very funny with how that all played out. And then Joey's wasn't that funny, but it was very moving and very meaningful and quite dramatic, and the dog was beautiful. So I have to say, I feel like every single part of the one with the birthing video is perfect. It's a pretty amazing episode, and all things considered, it's one that I'm sure I'll always really thoroughly enjoy. The one with the birthing video is definitely a perfect episode of Friends.